Hello and welcome to all beautiful souls out there. You're listening to the Restore My Soul podcast with Princess Millens, your favorite grief coach and emotional wellness specialist. In this space, we will help those who struggle with grief and loss and have real conversations about how to overcome it in every area of life. Through our personal stories, practical information, and wisdom from Princess and her special guests. We are here to educate, inspire, and empower you with the strategies you need in your emotional healing journey. We do not offer medical advice, but we believe that we can all learn to heal by creating a mindset to grow past our pain and push toward our purpose. Our goal is to remind you that grief is a journey and you do not have to walk it alone. No matter what the pain or loss is, you can be restored and live fully in your purpose. So let's push through the pain together as we share our stories of resilience, one episode at a time.
Well, great day, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Restore My Soul podcast. I'm so blessed to be here today for another episode. You know that this is the place where we talk about grief, loss, burnout, stress, and those paths to resiliencies. We have real people with real conversations on there because I believe that we all can learn to heal by creating a mindset to grow past our pain. So we are here in another episode, and I'm so excited about our special guest today. My special guest today is Ginger Fitchett, and Ginger is a passionate problem solver and a voice for this generation. She is a personal development speaker. I call her an empowerment speaker, right? And a coach and a host, and she has her own podcast, and she is the host of the Get Up 10 podcast, available on all platforms. She is a nurse, an entrepreneur, an investor, and most importantly, she is a mother. All right. As a nurse, she cares for and desires to help everyone she comes in contact with. And I know that even not being on the nurse side, she has such a genuine and caring heart. And it's been a truly honor to know her. And I know that she values people, she values relationship, and she helps others to pursue their dreams and goals. And that's what it's all about. And I just want to welcome to the podcast today, Ginger Fitchett. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited for our conversation.
Absolutely. You know, I've been trying to get you on here. So now you're finally here. So now I know we're going to have some conversation about a lot of things and mostly about how we rediscover ourselves, right? And so my intro question to you, I just want you to get the audience a little bit familiar about who Ginger is and what kind of things in your life kind of led you up to the path that you have chosen to take today.
That's a good question. Okay, so right now I'm living in the Tampa Bay area in Florida, and it's great. But I'm originally from New York, and I have to clarify and say not the city because people get real picky about that. I'm from Rockland County, which is just north of New York City. And I say growing up around New York City and kind of in New York City because I would go to church in Brooklyn. My dad's from Brooklyn, my mom's from the Bronx, and so I was in New York City often and just in that environment, I guess you could say. And it's definitely hustle and bustle. And if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. So from a young age, I told myself, like, okay, I love what I see in New York and I want to live here. And if I want to live in New York, I need a lot of money. So we're going to have to figure something out. But then I got a little older and I realized all that comes with living in New York. And I was like, oh, never mind. Never mind. We don't want this anymore. Because I grew up in the suburbs and I like to drive and have parking spots. And that is not
Absolutely.
New York City lifestyle. So, anyways, I end up going to school for nursing because I always loved science and math and people. And I felt like it was just a great way to use all of my gifts and, just what my heart is passionate about. So that's why I chose nursing. But on top of nursing, I also played basketball in college. And That basketball has been that's like one of my loves, like loving basketball. I have my own version. And
Okay.
that has done so much for my mentality and who I am as a person. And so through basketball, I got introduced to motivational speaking. That's the first time I ever heard Eric Thomas, and it changed my life. And it made me
Oh, wow.
realize that I was meant for more than just. I initially I just wanted to be a nurse, make a lot of money, buy nice things, go on trips. But listening
Yeah.
to ET, I realized that my life is so much bigger than that. There's so much more for me. And so that's what really made me excited about entrepreneurship. Actually, I didn't really, I kind of skipped some steps. I went through a breakup that made me question,
Yeah.
well, who am I? What do I want? Because I had always been so focused on being in a relationship and making that other person happy. I never really thought about
Yeah.
myself. So when I thought about myself and the women that I looked up to, I realized they were all entrepreneurs. And so I was like, entrepreneurship, it is.
All
And so I
right.
started a nursing career because I was almost finished with my degree. I think if I found out about entrepreneurship a little earlier, and I wouldn't have finished my degree, but
Yeah.
God is good, and He knew that I needed that degree. So graduated with my nursing degree, went into the nursing world. That's a very interesting experience to say the
Yeah.
least.
Absolutely.
And I also found myself in an abusive relationship because even though I took the time to ask myself, who am I? What do I want? What do I value? What kind of man do I want? I wasn't really like fully living it out. Like I wrote it
Mm,
down, but I didn't really ever go back to what I had written down. And I still very much wanted love, wanted to be somebody's wife. I thought I was so close to checking all the boxes off. I got my career, I just need my man, and then we can make some babies and we're good to go. So
okay.
I just forced myself into this relationship and ended up being abusive. And so I had to leave that situation. And then at that
Yeah.
time, I was also now a mom. So yeah,
Yeah.
and there was a lot of getting back up because we definitely hit rock
Yeah.
bottom in so many ways. I had to bounce back to where I am here today with you in
Well,
good
that's so
spirits.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes, because from your story, I don't know, Ginger, why I never knew that you were a nurse. Why did I never not know that? I don't know. But
I
anyway,
don't lead with
I
that.
digress. So I
Yeah.
agree. New York is so. I had a pleasure to go to New York this year, and it was so awesome.
Yeah.
I was only there a couple of days, so don't beat me up. I know I didn't come see you, but next time I will. Um, but you have been through a journey of caring. I believe that the people who are anointed and they're gifted at nursing, you have to have a genuine heart to care. And sometimes our caring heart, it leads us to into these relationships, or it leads us into places where it's not suited for us, right? And so I heard you say about you wanted to get back to who you were. You wanted to make sure, and we all have this checklist, right? I know I had the same checklist. I don't know about anybody watching or listening, but I had the same checklist as far as if I have this, if I have that, have the right man, if I have this, and we have some babies, I'm good, right? And we have this checklist in our minds and in our hearts, and then it turns out that our life don't go that way, right? So in your relationships, what was the thing? Because again, we care so much, right? We care so much about people, sometimes neglecting our own self, right? What was the thing that in your relationship that probably caused that pattern, you think, that you were even attracted to someone who may not have been the right person for you? Because I think sometimes we can get into a pattern. Did you see yourself going into a pattern of relationships like this? Or was it something that just kind of came out of the blue?
Oh, no, it was definitely a pattern, a
Yeah.
cycle, and I would say like a downward spiral because it starts off
Mhm.
not
Wow.
as bad, and then it's weird because it's like it gets better and worse. It gets better in the way that you tell yourself, oh, well, this guy's better than the last guy, but it gets
Mm,
worse in the way that we're still not going in the right direction. We're going in the
right.
opposite direction of where we need to be going. And I trace back my downward spiral, as I call it, um, honestly, back to middle school. I
Mm,
I was the type of girl I don't know. As a young girl, like in kindergarten, I was already like looking for my husband. I
go
had a
ahead,
crush
Ginger.
on every little boy in my class. Like, if I like one thing about you, you're my crush. It was that
Oh
simple
my
to my
goodness.
4 or
Yes, I
5-year-old
was the same
brain.
way.
Yeah, and so fast forward to middle school when things are a little bit more not more serious, but you're more aware of, like, dating and relationships. I found myself in a relationship with this guy, and I wanted to prove myself to him that I wasn't just, like, a goody two shoes and I knew some things. Um,
Yeah.
honestly, knew some things sexually because I wanna be transparent. I wanted to prove myself in that way. And so even though I didn't go all the way with him, I think that relationship was like my first kiss. And then from the next relationship, we did a little more. And the next guy, we did a little more. And I just found myself in these relationships where I just wanted to be married so bad. And as long as you agreed to my terms at the time, which
Exactly.
usually was just like, okay, you know about God and you want to get married too. And at first, I didn't have any boundaries around physically, but then I tried to. So I was like, "Okay, you know about God and you're a decent guy and you're willing to wait till marriage? Okay, cool." Even like they'll say that, but do they really mean it is another question. And so I just saw that pattern, and another pattern was just me going above and beyond. I never really sat back to let a guy chase me, or not
Yeah.
even chase me, but pursue me is really the word. I never
Yeah.
really let a guy pursue me. I was always the one like meeting, driving to wherever he's at, picking him up, meeting up with him, and I never really let a man put forth effort to
Absolutely.
earn me. And
Yeah.
so when I met my daughter's father, I was in an angry space, and I can talk about this from in hindsight now that I was definitely angry and entitled. I didn't really have a real reason to be upset, but at the time, my reasoning to be upset was very valid to me in that version
Mhm.
of myself. And so I had just graduated college. I'm making good money as a nurse, and I didn't have a car, and that really bothered me because I wasn't in the position financially just yet to get my own car, and I didn't have my parents that I could rely on either to help me out, unfortunately. And so I was mad at them because mommy and daddy couldn't just buy me a new car. I was frustrated because I wanted to go places, I wanted to do things. I'm a woman now, I got a college degree, and I couldn't. But
Yeah.
I know that God needed me in that season because He had things to show me. But yeah, that was my mentality. I was angry, I was upset, I was trying to do my own thing as a young woman. And so as an angry person at the time, because I'm not in general, I'm not an angry person. I do not like to be angry. But in that season I was, and so I attracted an angry person.
Mm.
And yeah, that was crazy because
That's
I remember
important to
being
know.
yeah. I remember being in my marriage and I looked at how this man was acting, how this man treated me, and I was confused because I was like, relationships are supposed to be a reflection of us, of ourselves, and I'm
Mhm.
looking at this man and he don't look like me. I don't act like that. So, I was confused, but I know it's 'cause at the time, it was that anger, that familiar spirit that connected. Yeah.
Yeah, but that seems like a very reflective moment because sometimes we're not able to see that, and it was great that you were able to see that. Our boundaries, I think, or the things that we create for ourselves are can be sometimes twisted in what we think things how things should be. And I believe the cycle sometimes it begins and ends with rejection or a spirit of abandonment and things like that, or the things that we feel that we deserve and what we desire so much, and it'll cause us to go down this path of, just anybody, anybody who will love me and make me feel a certain type of way, you know,
Yeah.
they good, right? But it is so important. This is what I've learned. It's so important to create those boundaries that not only keeps out, because I always teach boundaries don't necessarily keep people out. It shows people how to treat you, right? And
Yes.
so, can you talk a little bit about some boundaries that you had to set in your own life to make sure that you are protected from any of those things that would bring you back into the cycle that you were in the past?
Yeah. So I just want to say, first of all, the way that I talk is very much like reflective
Yeah.
because in the moment I was not thinking like this. And in the moment when you're in it, it's hard to see so clearly. That's for sure. But as far as some of the boundaries that I've created, um, so like I said, I have written things down as far as my goals, my values, literally what I want in a man. I had been studying and listening to all these things that are related to godly relationships. But it's one thing to hear things and say things, it's another thing to actually do it. It's a lot
Yeah.
harder to actually do it. So that's one thing that I know I will do going forward is to honor the things that I have said are important to me. Another
Mhm.
thing is to take seriously the opinions or input. I'd rather say the input of people who truly love me. So my family and my close friends, they all told me like this is not a good relationship. He's not the one for you. Actually, in every relationship I've ever been in so far, they've said this is not the guy. This no, like please, what are you doing? And I
Yeah.
ignored everyone. I thought I was gonna prove them wrong. Yeah, we're not
Yeah.
doing that no more. When all my friends and
Okay.
family yeah, when they raise a red flag, when they have a question mark, I'm gonna take that a little bit more seriously. And also, I've just done a lot of growth, spiritually. And so if I don't have a sense of peace about a relationship, about a
That's
conversation,
good.
about moving forward, I'm not gonna ignore that. Because when I was in the relationship with my daughter's father, there was a lot of red flags and moments where God was trying to get my attention, but I was like, blinders on. I
Hmm.
want what I want. I don't care what God has to say, which is crazy because at the time I was still like praying and listening to sermons and I thought I was okay spiritually, but my heart was not in the right place. And
Yeah.
so that is another thing. I'm very prayerful now. Um,
Yeah.
and I gotta stand on what God shows me. I have to
Hmm.
honor those things. So those are 3 things that I could think of off the top of my head that I do now moving forward.
Yeah, and that's a big thing to honor the things that are inside of you and to honor what God is showing you, right? And I know what it feels like as well because sometimes sometimes he talks to us and he tells us personally, right? And then those other people like our family, our friends, the ones who know and love and respect us, they'll come and say, just like you said, this is not the one for you. But we don't listen because it goes right on back to what we want and what we feel like we need in our relationship, but it keeps us in that cycle, you know. And I know that it is very, very important for us, even as mothers, right? For us as mothers to show our children that this is not the way. This is not the way. And I'm so honored to be able to my children saw me in a transition. They saw me the transition. They've seen the transition in me from the one who used to be so, I was in an angry space. I was in that place where I wasn't uh being spiritually fed and things like that to the person that I am now. And so I know they will probably testify like, yeah, mom, you got it right now. You got it right. But I want you to give some kind of wisdom about what it means for us or what it means for you as a mom to make sure that you set the correct um, space for your child? What does it what is it for you as a mom that you can, teach your child, show her that it's more to life, it's more to just what you see, right? How important is that to you?
It's so important. Um, I think I've always seen those posts that say, like, becoming a mom saved my life or my children saved my life. And I really resonate with those posts. I know if you don't have any kids or whatever, you could look at that
Yeah.
and be like, what do you mean? But no, like having my daughter really saved my life because uh I refuse to normalize abuse for her. First of all, like I realized that the household that I brought her into as a baby was not healthy, and I refused for her to think that the way her father was treating me and even the way that I was acting, cuz I wasn't always perfect, and I was very emotional, and
Yeah.
it would make me afraid that I was gonna hurt her in the cloudiness of my emotions on top of the abusive things that were happening. So that was the first step where I said, my daughter, this will not be normalized for my daughter because I was not raised like that and she will not be either. And then after I realized the pain of divorce and the aftermath of domestic violence and how heavy that is, because a lot of the responsibility falls on the victim. So when I
Yeah.
realized like how it was painful, and I was like, I'm getting a reward for this pain. Like this pain is gonna birth some
Absolutely.
purpose. Like these wounds are coming with some wisdom. Like this is not where it ends. And that really lit a fire under me as well to really take my purpose seriously and the things that God has put on my heart. And furthermore, I wanted my daughter to see that your dreams are so important, and you don't have to just have a average life or just get a job and keep your head
Mhm.
down. Like, no, you were put on this earth for a purpose. You're a world changer. There is something in you that God needs out. And so motherhood really put a fire underneath me to realize my dreams and stop playing around with my purpose and my dreams, because I needed to show my daughter that whatever
Mhm.
God puts on your heart, as long as you're in agreement with him and you're submitted to him, like it can happen. And so that really helped me to take my entrepreneurial dreams more seriously to where I am
Yeah.
today, because I know that she's watching me and I want her to see like, yeah, mom did it. She didn't it wasn't always easy. She wasn't perfect every day. Some days she cried, some days she laid in the bed, but I see my mom and I see her on stages speaking. I see her recording her podcast. I see her flying to events. I see her buying properties. I'm speaking that into existence because I need her to
Come on.
know that there's better than, I don't know. People are so quick to throw average on you or subpar, and I'm like, no, thank you. So motherhood really is another level of accountability for sure, because I
Yeah.
know that she's watching me and my actions more than what I say.
Absolutely. And it's so important because, whatever generational thing that we see or the hindrances that we've seen in our family generation line, I say that it stops with me.
Yeah.
We're not going to have that poverty mindset. We're not going to have
No.
the mindset where we can only just do this one thing and live in a box. You know what I'm saying? So it's so important that we teach our children the way that they should go, like the Bible says, and when they get old, they will not depart, right? And that stops the generation. I believe that stops the generational curses, the generational things that has happened throughout your bloodline or whatever the case is. It could be somewhere in somebody's family that alcoholism, drug addicts, all throughout the bloodline, but it has to stop somewhere. And why not with us? Why not someone in the family making a decision that we're not going to go through abusive relationships anymore? We're not going to just settle for less anymore. We're not going to do these things. And so that we can birth the next generation that will have that growth mindset, right? So
Exactly.
this has been such a great conversation, Ginger. I'm just gonna leave everybody with this is I want you to give just one thing to encourage the young mothers out there, the people that might be listening that are in emotional or domestic violence situations. Give them some encouragement. What would you say to encourage them today?
I think my favorite thing to remind people of is that you are worthy and you are valuable. Whatever situation that you're in, however you're feeling, the change, the shift, it starts with you. So I need you to know that you are worthy and you are valuable.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Ginger, for being here on this episode. I pray that everything that your heart desires, that you continue to get it in your life, and so that you and your line, you're not just your daughter, but your children's children, right, is
Yeah.
blessed. All right.
Thank
So
you.
before we leave, I want you to tell everybody how to connect with you, where to find you on social media, and all the things.
Yes. Okay. My favorite place to send people is Instagram. So my Instagram is Ginger and Fit. It's just the first three letters of my last name. So Fit. And then I do have a website, gingerfitchett.com. And there you can find out more about my podcast. You could send me a message. If you are interested in having me at any of your events, there's a form. It's all there. So, yeah. And I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn and everything, TikTok. I'm forgetting one, but I'm on pretty much everything under my name.
All right. Well, thank you again, Ginger, for being here. It was awesome to do this episode with you.
Thank you.
Well, that's another episode, everybody. Thank you for joining us today on another episode of Restore My Soul podcast. Don't forget to follow me on all social media at Princess Millens and my website at princessmillens.com. You remember that grief is a journey, but you don't have to walk it alone. I will see you in the next episode of the Restore My Soul podcast.
Thank you for joining another episode of Restore My Soul podcast. Be sure to listen and watch each week as we continue the conversation on how to bounce back from the setback of grief and loss and to become resilient so that you too can thrive in life. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you don't miss out on any new episodes, and share this with as many people as possible so they can be encouraged in their emotional wellness journey. We invite you to follow Princess Millens on all social media platforms and on the website at princessmillens.com. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode of the Restore My Soul